Real talk, real impact, unfiltered and unapologetic. This is FemmeIcon.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is Mahvish Akhtar with another episode of FemmeIcon. So today we're talking about optimism versus hate. Not even versus, just, the difference between the two. And hi, Aisha, hope you're well. So we're gonna give it a few minutes before we start the topic. And I want, sorry, you can see that was my dressing table for all of you. But I do want to see where we can, if I could do that while Assalamu alaikum Mujiha. So I hope you guys know the topic we're talking about. Difference between optimism and hope. And what basically psychology says about it. And we're just waiting for a few people to trickle in before we start, because this is an important topic normally as well, and then right now it becomes even more important and even more, just kind of has more value. And it's really hot. Yeah, but my throat is still kind of recovering from whatever it is that's going around, as we all know. And the cold keeps getting cold. So while we wait for a few more people, can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm still working on figuring out what I need to do with the mic, because I know I don't speak very loud, and then my whole mic thing is not really great right now. So some of you were, into this technology thing, you need to come to my house and figure this out for me, like fix the situation. Okay, good, as long as you can hear me. So yeah, so let me just go ahead and announce a few things that we're coming up with. So we are, we have a section, of course, Femmerong is always going to be our main organization, main company that we were running. And under that, we have a lot of different sub companies, organizations, and, events and different things that we do. Like we have FemCart, where we run, help female-led businesses, small businesses. And then we have our wellness services, which is the main part of our work that we are doing. And then we have these shows, events, and other things that we're doing. And then our website now is switching to the name Femmerepublica, and it's under construction. And so we will be doing a lot of our events under that name, under Femmerepublica, and we will be inviting our guests under that name, and other events and other shows, other courses that we're putting out that we've been working on will be under Femmerepublica as well. So look out for those. One is just recently coming up in February that we have been posting about, and you have been, I'm sure, seeing. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Zainab. And you have been seeing posters and videos about it. So yeah, those are the few things that are going on, and there will be a completely new look for the website. So some changes, not a lot, but some. But Femmerong is not going anywhere, and Femmerepublica is something different, something new. So I think we can start. Yeah, we should not be wasting any more time. So topic is optimism, difference between optimism and hope. So we'll focus on one, and then we'll move on to the other, and then we'll see how they compare to each other, just in general. So let's start with optimism. What is the definition of optimism? What comes to mind when we say optimism? In layman's term, and you and me, what we would say when we think of optimism would just be, somebody who's, who thinks of the positive all the time, who will just say, oh, it's going to be okay. Everything is great. Everything is just, happy and good all the time. That's what we would say about somebody or about ourselves. Yeah, I'm an optimistic person. I, think of the glass half full type of, that's what I say. That's what I see. But the actual definition, but this is the actual definition. If you look at in the dictionary, the actual definition is an inclination to believe in the most favorable outcome. An inclination. Like you tend to believe in okay, well, yeah, like I said just now. Oh, it's going to be okay. Today, or you wake up in the morning and you're like, today is going to be a good day. Today, I'm going to do good things. Or it's going to be, I'm going to make good things happen. Like just good things. Because I'm thinking positive, good things are going to happen. Because I'm, just vibes, positive vibes. And it's going to work out great for me. Now, what is the psychological perspective on optimism? So the psychological perspective is a set of beliefs and traits. Now, just focus on the language, because that's what makes the whole difference. Because right now we don't have people, and we're not analyzing people. We don't have like focus groups, and we're not doing studies. So we just have theories, and we're reading words. So words become important for this particular topic right now. Just talking about it. A set of beliefs and traits that help individuals reflect on the positive of life rather than the negative. So this is just talking about reflection and how you think, right? Which is very important. Of course, that's how we progress in life. Our perspective of life, how we perceive it, how we, again, the glass half full, half empty type deal. It's very important how we're looking at things. If I get up in the morning and I'm just like, oh, it's going to be a terrible day. It's crazy. Like, it's super cold, and I don't want to get out of bed, and this is going to be, oh my gosh. Of course, I'm going to have a worse day than I would if I got up and said, you know what, it's okay, it's cold. I'm just going to bundle up, and I'm going to, things happen. I have hot water coming out of the sink, and I have this and I have that, and I'll be okay. I'm just going to, rise to the occasion. I have a better chance of having a better day because of my attitude, and it reflects my day ahead, and then I will make better choices, of course, because of my attitude in general. So it does make your day better. Now, we do have to look at the linguistics a little bit, because that helps us just kind of understand the term better, understand the words, and then understand the meaning behind it and where it's coming from, and why it is what it is in the society, in our culture today, whether it's English or Urdu or whatever, however we want to look at it. But again, अगर we look अगर हम इसको psychological terms में देख रहे हैं, which we'll go into, religious and other backgrounds as well, but अगर हम psychological terms से शुरू कर रहे हैं, तो we need to understand कि इसका background just a little bit to make it a little bit more clear, and it will make sense in a minute कि हम क्यों इसको psychological sense में देख रहे हैं. Linguistics में हम क्यों उसको देख रहे हैं in words. So this comes out of इसकी roots, it's a word optimism या इसकी roots जो हैं वो Latin, they go back to Latin. Most English के जो words in there, obviously they're a mix of Latin or Greek or some. They're not old English में, just old English. Just medium English is rare. Usually the words date back to some other roots in some other language. Though Latin में this comes out of optimum, which means the best, something that is the best, that's perfect, that's on the highest of something else, right? So if something is on the highest of something, of anything, like if I'm let's just say if I talk about a kind of paper, and this is a very, very shallow example that I'm giving you. If I talk about some kind of paper and we have 5 kinds and I say this is the best kind, then that is your optimum. And we know this word too. It's not just a Latin word. It's also now optimum, right? So that would be the root word. And now we have optimistic, like you are at the best of your thought. And this is what I'm going to think of. So it is a perspective. It is a way of approaching things in your mind. So that is optimism. That you're thinking everything is fine. Today, I'm okay. And it is right here in the present. It's a learned behavior. If we look at it psychologically, so learned behavior. It is not something, it could be something people are genetically optimistic. Some people learn it through their circumstances. Many people have to be taught to be. But mostly, it's a learned behavior. You have to teach people because not all circumstances go in your favor. If you're looking throughout the day, there will be some good situations that will come up and there will be some negative situations that come up. And as human beings, we are more likely to remember the jolting things, the things that, not on a huge level, but even on a smaller level that seem to cause us trauma, or somebody saying no to us, getting refused, and we're standing somewhere in a line just to even get coffee, and it's closing time. We're more likely to remember that than to remember, we went in, got a cup of coffee, and we left. We're less likely to say, Alhamdulillah, I got my coffee, than to we're more likely to complain about the fact that, oh my God, I got in there 15 minutes before the closing time and I didn't get my coffee. Like, they're supposed to serve everybody who gets in, right? Aren't they? We're not, so we're more likely to be pessimistic, if you will, about that than to say, it was closing time and the people who were behind the counter who were making coffee, the baristas and everybody, they have to go home too. I mean, it's okay. I did come in late and yeah, so that we would remember that more. So this is a learned behavior in the way and change your thinking to, that I should have been ready for that. I should have been prepared for that. So to be optimistic to that point, that you understand that this is not something that's happening to me that is bad. This is just a situation. It's neither good or bad. And I could go home and make coffee, or maybe try a different, coffee shop. That's a learned behavior. That's something that needs to be taught, that needs to be, cultivated, that, if you have somebody around you, you need to be teaching them socially, or if you have a client or patient, then that person needs to be taught. It just depends on what terms you're talking. You're talking in societal terms, or talking in a client-patient and doctor-client relationship. But it is a learned behavior in most part. Not the basic optimism that a person's just happy and they don't really take a lot of things seriously in their life, but in the most part, if you have to go beyond, like I said, if you have to go beyond just shrugging things off and not taking life too seriously, beyond that, it has to be learned. Now, of course, there are theories about optimism as well, on how to teach children optimism, how to, if you are in a learning setting, if you are talking to psychologists, and if you are dealing with real life issues that deal with being optimistic and staying positive, as they say, will help your situation, then you have to learn it, and you have to probably learn it than what they teach, whether it's children or adults, and they'll teach you positive self-talk, like stop negative discussion, negative talk to yourself. And then, empathy, social environment becomes really important in that case, who you're interacting with. And then in that case, we'll tell the parents or whoever the guardians are to, take those children or those adults out of that situation, whichever is negative for them or is dealing with them in a negative way. Positive interactions. And so again, it matters what you're learning, what you're around. Your inner strength is going to be important, but the factors outside, the factors around you are going to matter. You will need social support. That will be important. But you will have to learn it. You will have to learn all of it and understand it in that way. There is a self-determination theory. And of course, at one point, everybody just saw it as it only works in politics, it only works in business, and how we, and it's also now is being made fun of, is that, people say things like, well, I came to this country, we talk about Europe and the US and Canada, that I came to this country with $1 and now I have, 50 businesses and this many employees and all of that. People say that it was talked about in that sense. But people talk about it with optimism too, that you have to be self-determined. You have to work at thinking that, today's going to be a good day and I'm going to have a good week and I'm going to work at it and I'm going to be okay. Again, we go back to that thing. Some people are innately like that. Some people have to work at it, and most people have to work at it because not every day is going to be a good day. Again, like we talked about it, not every day is going to turn out that way. And the important thing to understand here would be that, people who are, so like we're learning that this is mainly a taught behavior, being optimistic, because not everybody is going to have a good day every day. Sometimes every second of every day is going to feel like a burden. It's going to be difficult because you're not feeling well. Your kids are sick. Your job, your boss is giving you a hard time. It's a challenge. Studying is a challenge. You're just having, your mind is not in the game. Whatever that may be. I'm so sorry. My throat's just, I know many of you can relate. And that doesn't make you a negative or pessimistic person. That just makes you a human being who can't be up all the time, right? That's human nature. And many people just start their day ready for anything. They don't start their day thinking, it's going to be sunshine all day, right? They're ready thinking, we'll see how it goes. And that's okay too. And that's not glass half empty. That's just being realistic. And so I believe myself to be, a glass half empty kind of person. But honestly, I don't believe myself to be that. Other people believe me to be that, and I'm really okay with it. Because honestly, I think now I've come to understand, 10, 15 years ago, I actually come to understood that I'm actually a realistic person. Because when I was younger, a teenager, or early 20s, I really did think that I'm a very pessimistic person. I think of everything in the negative, and always anybody said, it's going to be fine, you'll see, it's going to turn out okay. I was always like, but how? But we don't know that, and even my husband, even now, sometimes will just be like, if I'm having a difficult time with something or, anything of that sort, he'll just say, okay, listen, just to make me feel better, he'll just say, oh, it's going to be okay. I'm like, don't say that. What? No. Was to have a very quick reaction to that. And people take it as kya ho gaya? Think positive, acha guma rakho, whatever. But here's what people like me are thinking. ये सोच नहीं होती है कि नहीं बस सब कुछ गलत हो जाएगा. But there's a more realistic aspect to that, which is कि yes, inshallah, Allah knows what will happen in the end. Allah has, of course, we have this belief in Him, and we know that in the end He does whatever is best for us. But we need to also realize, okay, we don't know what that best is. It may not be what we may be imagining. So we shouldn't just think it's going to be okay and then think what we think is the best will happen and then be extremely disappointed. Right? So that is and it's okay to be optimistic and think कि हम जो चाह रहे हैं वो होगा और उसी तरह से होगा. And that's a great thought process. That's completely okay. But also keep an open mind to other possibilities and keep an open mind to it can go wrong or it can go right in another way that we weren't foreseeing. And then at the end of the day, be okay with whatever the outcome is. And that's not glass half empty. That's just, let's remove the glass from the picture altogether and just kind of, do our best. So that's always been my outlook. And there's many people who think that way. And I think that process always gets just kind of pushed down and just be like, ऐसे सोचो ऐसे क्यों कह रही हो ऐसे ऐसी बात नहीं करते or whatever, and then you just start to think that I'm a negative person. But that's not being negative. That's not being pessimistic. That's also a kind of optimism. And that's what we'll get into just now when we start talking about hope and what that actually means and what that looks like. So optimism is really great. There's nothing wrong with it. But there are some flaws in the whole idea of things will work out just fine. So the idea of fine, what is that idea? What is fine? And we're just hoping that somebody will just magically come and fix it and make it just because we're thinking it and we're feeling it. Because we are just, like we read here, the definition, which was, what was it? Set of beliefs and traits. Like you just have some beliefs and you just have some way of thinking, like you're going to have positive, self-talk, and you're just going to be like, today you're going to accomplish this, and today you're going to be able to do this, and which is great. Positive self-talk is absolutely essential for, a person to have. But there are a few steps missing in this, right? So we have to go on and see what those steps are and how hope is different. Because I mentioned a few things about what cautious people do and what people who have a little bit more, you add a little bit more to optimism and what that looks like. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I hope you guys are still with me and there is no confusion in what optimism looks like. And there is nothing wrong with optimism. Again, because I'm not an optimistic person, I'm not a huge fan of it. That's all. So let's talk about hope now. It feels really good in my throat. So I just took a break. Okay. So the definition of hope was extensive. Really, that's one of the things that was really interesting to me. Let me know if anytime my voice cuts off or if you don't understand anything. A feeling of desire of something to happen and have a good reason. So now we're going into a completely different, direction. You would think that hope and optimism, even though they're used interchangeably, normally they're just used like, oh, I'm optimistic about it. I'm hopeful about it. But the meaning is quite different if you look at it, right? The desire for something and then have a good reason to have that desire. The desire is not, hopefulness is not just to wake up in the morning and just want to have a good day. Hopefulness is more than that. Hopefulness is to have a desire for something and have a good reason to have that desire. And then there's more to it. There's more. If you go towards a more, older English and more archaic or more deeper meaning of hope, it's a feeling of trust. Like if you have hope in something deeper, because you have a desire for something deeper, because it's not about 1 day or 2 days, then what do you have? You have trust in something that's giving you hope. That I hope for this 1 day because it's not about today or tomorrow. So then you have trust in something that can get you that thing that you're hoping for, the thing that you desire, right? So it becomes a more vast and deeper and layered kind of situation. It requires optimism on your part as well. But then hope becomes a more layered kind of thing. And another explanation is to cherish a desire with anticipation. The same thing, but in different ways, and it just kind of explains it better and has better words. Desire with trust and belief and reliance. So you have something that you're hoping for, that you have a desire for, and then you have a belief, and you're relying on something, and you believe in something to make that happen. And there's another big component to that desire and the belief in something. There's a big component, and we'll get to that in just a second. So the root word, it comes from, again, this started, of course, it has origins in Greek and Latin, and of course it does, because, that's where it all originated and came to here. But, still in English, if you go back many, like 12th, 11th century, the root word, the meaning of the root word, I think it was hop or ope or something like that. I can't pronounce it properly. I think it was OPE. Yeah, that's what it was. So, the meaning of the root word was something like an opening, or like a window, like a small opening in the door, or a window, like a crack or something like that. So that's where this word came from. So you can see just like the way, you can see how broad the meaning becomes of hope. Just like you have like a little opening, you have way to get out, to bring yourself out of that darkness, or that, that place of where you feel stuck, but you still know that there is a way for you. There's a pathway for you to be free. And you know that there is somebody, someone, something, some entity at the end who's waiting for you, who can take care of you, who will take care of you, because there is a reliance on something, a reliance on someone, something, right? So that idea is what hope is. That you know that there is an opportunity, you can get through it, you have the ability, you have the desire, and then you have a reliance on something. And you don't have a timeline for this, because you don't know it. You don't know how long or how much it will take, how long it will take, or how much it will take from you. But you have that belief in yourself and belief in that whatever thing that you're relying on. So it becomes more layered, and it becomes more complicated as well. But more important, way more important. And that will also mean that you don't always have to be optimistic, and you will not be always optimistic. You can't always, when you are in a darker place, when you are in more trouble and you are suffering a little bit more, you can't be optimistic every day. It is not always practical. So in that sense, optimism almost becomes a valuable or a virtue, right? Because to get up every day, to be in a difficult situation, let's just say somebody, is extremely sick, physically sick or mentally sick, or whatever it may be, to get up every day and be positive about your life and to think good things about your life may be extremely hard. To be optimistic about your life, get up and say, I'm going to have a best day ever. That may be extremely difficult. right? Like, your body hurts, you have a fever, whatever, and it's long term, it may get hard at times. So you may not be able to be optimistic every day. And the days that you are, that's, really great. But you may be hopeful that, you believe in a higher power. It could be Allah, it could be whatever, whatever kind of spiritual you are, whatever kind of religious you are, whatever religion you follow or way of life or whatever. But you are hopeful that there is somebody or something, some deity, some higher power that will take care of you and you will be okay one way or the other. That's hope. You're having a bad day, you don't feel like saying, sun will shine today, it will be less hot, less cold today, I know it. But in the long run you'll be okay. That's being hopeful. The desire to be okay. So that's a big difference. So then what are we saying hope is? What is hope really then? It's not giving up. It's just really not ever giving up. Because one could get tired of being optimistic, right? At some point. If hope wasn't attached to it. It's okay to have bad days, bad weeks, bad months or years if you're hopeful. If you know that there's somebody looking out for you. If you know that some point, somewhere in this life or the next, it's gonna be okay. But if you can't say that, then, or if you can't feel that, if you don't have anyone to rely on, then it becomes hard to be optimistic even. It becomes hard to carry on feeling positive about anything in life, good or bad. I mean, yeah, even sometimes. All right, so all of these people, you guys just came in. Thank you for joining us, and hi to all those people who came just now and are still coming in. I'm sorry, I didn't want to ruin my tempo. Yeah, so because people are terrible, humans are terrible, world can be terrible. So, and we keep hoping that it will get better. It does sometimes, and then it, kind of is terrible again. So we gotta balance, and we gotta see, when can we rely just on optimism? And have we been relying on just optimism, or have we been hopeful? So we gotta see. We wouldn't be here without hope. We can do without optimism once in a while, and we do. We really do without optimism. We don't do without hope. And so yeah, and I want to give some examples from also just from the Quran real quick, and then we'll be close to ending. And I want to do that because I want to show that it's not always about being optimistic, because it's okay to feel doubt. It's okay to be sad every now and again. Hope is not about that. So just to give a little bit of, juxtaposing, if you will, like Hazrat Zakaria. It's Surah Maryam. You guys can, I'm not a scholar. I don't claim to be, and I don't want this to be confused with anything other than just a small example. Please don't confuse it with any kind of knowledge or anything of that sort. And Surah Maryam, ayah 4, just went to, when he made a small prayer to Allah. He said, Lord, my bones have grown feeble. And this is when he was asking for an heir, a son. My bones have grown feeble. My head is glistening with age. Yet never have my prayers to you, my Lord, been unfruitful. So he was old. His wife was barren. He wanted a son. This situation, he's not very optimistic that anything will come of it, but he's hopeful. Do you see the difference here? Like, he was like, I'm old, my wife, she's barren, but my prayers have never been unfruitful. Something good comes of them. So you see, and there's other examples. There's Hazrat Ibrahim Islam and what Surah Hijr. He when he said, I'm going to go to it because is also a good example, since I have Quran in front of me. Sorry, it's going to take me just a second because I don't want to just assume that it's taking me a second. But he also said something similar about having hope. I think I know what ayah is. Don't worry, it's not turning into that kind of a lecture. But the point I'm trying to make is the same that I've been trying to make, is that these things get, so when the Ibrahim Islam was given the good news of a boy, you guys can go and read. This is Surah Al-Hijr. Read the details. I don't want to go into details. Ayah number 56. So 55, they said, good tidings we give you is of truth. Do not therefore be of those who despair. Right? So he's being told not to despair. And his response is, Ibrahim said, who despairs of the mercy of his Lord except the misguided? So I know it's just right from smack in the middle of it. And just remember this because it's something that stuck with me. And as you can tell, I've just been studying a lot about this because of the things that are happening around us and the things we are living through. And it's difficult. It's hard for all of us, I know. But yeah, we can. This is definitely Surah Hijr. I would recommend it, definitely read it with translation. But yeah, so hopelessness, despair is hopelessness. That's the one thing that's just, you can have bad days. You can be just, feeling like, what even, man, what's going on? But to feel hopelessness is different, because sometimes those negative emotions, negative meaning in terms of like, this is terrible, like we need to do something, we need to move, those emotions will bring out action from you, even for yourself, even personally, not on a private level. That will bring something out from you, more to do, more to be more active. But if you are hopeless, if you feel like, no, that one entity that you thought was at the top of it all, if that person, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if that entity, if that divine spirit or whatever you call it can't do anything for me, then that's it. Then what else is there? So that's the difference. And optimism also is just, related to your own self, your own being. Whereas, hope is more about, a group, your own self, people outside of the group, a community, all of it. Dr. Richard Snyder, he's a psychologist. He had some theories about hope. And these are important because we just talked about, what the Quran says, and when we know the Prophet ﷺ had, he took on so much, he went through so much, and he let that happen, let it be, of course, because he was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also because he had hope. He had hope in the mission that he had. He had hope in what he was accomplishing. He knew that in the end, he was going to win. And when you hear, literally when you hear these explanations, the reason I picked these out, there's so many other theories about hope and how it functions, but I picked these out because they just align so beautifully with how the Prophet ﷺ, arranged his mission to spread the religion, and his mission to spread his word, spread, just the idea of the one God, and the idea of what Islam is, and just the idea of togetherness, that the peace and what he brought to the world so beautifully, and the hope that it presented, even in the situations, the worst situations, even when it looked like they are losing and they are being hurt and murdered and killed and tortured, just the way Walaikum Assalam, the way it was done. These people, these psychologists, were not there at that time, right? So that came after. And just the way it's designed, it's beautiful. It just looks like, that they just took it right out of his life. It's amazing. And that's why I'm going to just go through just the main theories real quick. So Snyder, his hope theory is positive motivational state resulting from a cognitive process. So it's a cognitive process. This is something that's in your brain, not something that can really be taught, but it is something that you have within you. And then, of course, it can be polished and brought forward, is basically what he says. So this has 3 modes, according to Snyder. Goals theory, that's first, which means conceptualize your goal, right? So if you are a hopeful person, you will first conceptualize your goal. So it's not just about, I'm hopeful that I will pass my exams. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. And really, if you look at the truth of what hope is for people who really mean it, because if you don't mean it, then you're an optimistic person. You're just an optimist. There's nothing wrong with that. But really hopeful people, right? You will have your goal in your mind. You'll know what you have to achieve. And the second thing will be pathways thinking, which is to have your goal, a path made to your goal. Like, okay, so this is my goal. I have to be here. And so I'm going to do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And here's my goal. I get to it this way, right? And then you have the third thing, the last thing, according to Snyder, is agency thinking. And then you start to motivate yourself, motivate others around you, mobilize people to actually take action. And then obviously the result is not in your hand, because when you have to have hope and when you have to work towards it is at times when you are in trouble, when the people around you are in trouble, when times are hard. Because remember, we talked about the true meaning of hope is, like opening a window, a crack, just kind of that's where it roots come in. So you're being hopeful in a time distressing times. So this is not easy, but you've made a goal and you are motivated. Your mind is set on this premise that you will do this. And again, the other part that we talked about is that you have this desire, and then you're using these 3 modes, and you have reliance on something. Reliance on something with belief. Now tell me that doesn't match exactly with what we believe and what we have seen in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. And it goes on. This is not the end. This is, then there is another, Dr. Lopez. These are theories from way back when, I could give you a timeline, but again, you can look that up. That's not relevant right now. The point that I'm trying to make is more relevant. So her theory was that the golden mean between euphoria and fear, it is a feeling where transcendence meets reason and caution means passion. Now, if we look at our own selves and we look at what's happening right now in the world, and then just look at our, what we are taught, or what we know, or what we feel, everything, right? We'll talk about our religion, or we'll talk about our own feelings, everything. What is the one thing that we are, even like we were reading from the Quran just now, or anything that the one thing that we're supposed to fear is what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the only thing. Like, that's what we read. We just read the phrase when Hazrat Ibrahim was somebody said, the only person who is hopeless is a person who doesn't believe in Allah, right? And the only type of person that needs to be fearful is a person who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the only kind of fear that you're going to have. Fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear of hellfire, and that's it. So the combination of passion and fear, you want to transcend. You're hopeful that you want to transcend, and you're fearful of not completing that, not transcending. Hope is a combination of that, according to psychology. And then there's, and then your caution meets your passion. That's where your hope lies. I mean, it's just amazing how this was, I've been researching and how these things are combining, and I was just like, what's happening? I mean, it feels like I'm, first just looking at how the mission, Prophet ﷺ's mission was lined up, and how he did things and how he arranged everything. And then today, when I look at the people of Palestine, of Gaza, honestly, this is what they're doing. They have this passion and they have this urged need to transcend, really. That's what they want. And the other thing is just like, freedom or martyrdom. What else is there? And the commitment to it. So what we're talking about, optimism, optimism is really good. You get up in the morning and you say, I want to do this. I'm going to have a good day. And everything's going to be okay. But there's no goal there. There's no, okay, so I want to have a good day till the end of the day. I'm going to do my work. I have this. I have a to-do list I'm going to finish. But the passion and the okay, I'm going to achieve this. I didn't get it done today. It's okay. I have tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after. What's stopping me? Other than death, what is stopping me? And even death is, that's not the end, right? So, and this is like, it's amazing that the psychologists are saying it so beautifully. That is what actually made me think of doing this. It was, because it was so amazing. Just the way what I was reading, what I was, I was it blew my mind. It really did. So there's another psychiatrist, Dwayne Bidwell. So he came up with 5 pathways. First one is maintaining identity, just like self confidence and knowing yourself and being sure of yourself, which is, of course, a great sense of self. And then realizing community, having a social group, having people who are motivated by the same things that you're motivated by, and having a strong one. Claiming power, making strong physical and mental choices, physical, mental health choices for yourself, for your personal self, making sure that you are not harming yourself in any way, making sure that even though you are in distressful situations, you're not foregoing your mental health or your physical health, and you're keeping healthy and you're taking care of other people. Because, of course, you have if you have a goal, you have a big one. So you need to be smart about things that you do. Attending to spirituality. This is whatever kind of spirituality you believe in, you meditate, whatever you do, keep at it, because that helps the mind be calm and it keeps focus. And the last one is developing wisdom. Here, he says that it's important to learn from your mistakes. If you are a person, from your mistakes and other people's mistakes. So if you are a person who gets in a situation and then that turns out badly for you and you repeat it the same way, then you are not somebody who is cut out to actually make that goal, because you're not a wise person. You are not doing the job. And of course, then, as a psychologist, that's the whole idea of then you help them learn those through tools and techniques on how to be wiser and how to learn from different people's experiences, your own experiences. So that, of course, is it's a whole thing. But yeah, these are all tools, and these are theories and techniques and pathways. They're called pathways, really, of hope. These theories are called hope theories, and these methods are called hope pathways. So that's why I wanted to talk about these two things, and I wanted to talk about being just optimistic and being hopeful, and the difference, and how we can recognize it in ourselves, because a lot of times when we're just feeling down and we're just feeling like having a bad day, really, and not feeling up, and feel like we think we're getting hopeless, and that's not okay. But it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to, when you're scrolling through your social media and you see all those videos and images and things that are happening, and not a single one of our governments budging, you just feel like, gosh, how is this going to happen? How is this going to, end? And yeah, you have a bad day. You can't be optimistic that one day. You can't. But that's not hopelessness. That is just having a bad day. That's just, for lack of a better, term, just glass half full kind of day. Half empty, glass half empty kind of day. And that's okay. Because we are all hopeful. Because we believe in a higher power, and we believe in the end goal, and we are all working towards the end goal. And we're not going to stop. Inshallah, we're not going to stop. We'll keep doing our best. Some days we don't do our best because we're tired, we're exhausted. Right? We take a break, and then we get up the next day and we do it again, and we're going to keep doing it. So, yeah, don't take that one tired day when you're less optimistic as being hopeless. So that's going to be, please save this life. Yeah, we save all our lives. They're on our Instagram archives. I don't know what you call them, but yeah, they're all saved. So yeah, don't take them as that. That's not ever, that's not that, not for us. I know that. I know that I speak for all of you when I say that's not for us at all. And there's one last thing I wanted to say before we end this, is that I don't know, those of you who are in Lahore specifically, there was this news today that a girl tried to jump off a coffee shop building, and she tried to end her life. And a lot of people, and it was actually right by my house, a coffee shop right next to my house. And I don't know what ended up happening, if she survived or not, and I don't really. Yeah, that's not. I mean, it's important. I hope she's okay, but that's really, somebody else's life, not something I want to know or go in detail of. But what's important here to note is that when I started the news that I read, and then I started to read the comments, people were just like, oh, how could you do this? This is haram. And, the hopelessness in our young people, and they're, turning away from religion, and all of that talk that people do. And it was, we are talking about hope, and we are talking about, what, our religion has taught us and what to believe in. And we're talking about psychology and mental health and all of these things together. And we need to understand hope and what we know as human beings. All of that is, of course, in one place, but we need to also understand mental health. That has nothing to do with hope and hopelessness and feelings. We're talking about illness and hardship and all of that, but if you are well, if you're mentally completely well, then you can understand being hopeful and being hopeless, having a bad day, optimism, not being optimistic, all of those feelings and emotions. But if you are not mentally well and you don't understand the difference, because your brain, the wiring of your brain is just turned upside down. Now, I don't know what the situation was with that girl, but usually that is what happens. Usually mental illness goes unchecked. So unless we're sure that that wasn't the case, and with young people, usually that is the case. They don't want to end their lives. They're young, they're having fun. Usually young people think they're invincible. They want to live forever. They think they can do anything, right? So usually it's the opposite. They're ending their lives because they feel like they have nothing to live for. Their lives are over. Their mental state is completely different than what it would be for a normal kid their age. And that's a mental health issue. That is not just somebody who's away from the deen and just wants to kill themselves, because that makes less sense than what I'm saying, a mental health issue. If somebody's away from the deen, they're going to want to have fun. They're going to want to let loose and do all those things that their parents or guardians are telling them not to do. Because the deen's going to seem too strict, right? They're not going to get out of the house at whatever time, hide from their parents, and go jump off a roof. That's not how it works. So please have some empathy for that child, for that girl, and let's pray that she gets the help that she needs. And this is why we do what we do at FemmeIcon, because there's so many people in our community, in Pakistan especially, who can't get help that they need because they're just looked at, young kids who are just misbehaving or don't want to listen to their parents, or just are lazy and laying around in their homes, or women who they're being drama queens, they're overreacting, and others are just afraid of being labeled. It's just about health. It's about recognizing that there's something wrong with their health. It's nothing else. It's nothing more than that. And just talking to somebody might help fix it. Or maybe 1 or 2 pills might fix it. There's nothing more than that. You don't even have to put a label on it. You don't have to give it a name. You don't have to say anything. And that's what we do here. We'll do it discreetly, privately. Nobody will know. You don't have to tell anyone. We won't even label it if that's better for whoever. Your peace of mind. And it's discreet. It's private. It's completely private. Nobody can come and ask, hey, is so-and-so your patient? Is so-and-so your client? Is this person going here? Is that person? That's not. It's against the law, first of all, if people who do it in clinics and hospitals, they're going against the law. And of course, with minors, parents have to come with them. But again, it will be completely private, and your children will speak to us privately, but we will also discuss it with you, with the parents, one-on-one, and the children one-on-one. So it will be a conversation that will be had together. And whatever resolution we come to will be with the parents and the kids, the young adults. But let's not blame the children for doing things that we know that they wouldn't do if they were all of themselves. We know our kids. We know how they act. We know our families, our brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and all of these people. So let's just, before we label them, before we call them whatever we start to call them, like they're away from the deen and they're lazy and they're whatever, let's give them a chance, because this is better, giving them a chance and letting them talk to people, doctors, therapists, letting them even try a medicine is still better than having them trying to kill themselves, right? So let's open up a little bit about this. Let's try different things. And so I'm going to end with this. And I hope this was helpful. And because this whole information, I've been working on it for a month or so. And this was really helpful for me. And this little thing at the end is just like, it happened today. And I was just looking at all of the information that was coming in and the way people were reacting to it. It was just a little bit hurtful. A little bit hurtful, especially because of what we're trying to do. And it just felt like everything seems like a waste when that happens to, especially to young people. So anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, taking the time. And this will be saved. Okay. So my connection, perfect time for my connection to, trying to tell me something, I guess. All right, so I will see you next week. And if you guys have any suggestions for topics or things you want to talk about, let me know. All right, have a good day, good night, good evening, depending on where you are. And I will see you next time.